Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Water falls from the sky and flows from our taps. It is usually free or very cheap. But how did this simple liquid become a huge business, earning $350 billion each year globally? This is a key question. The price of bottled water is quite strange. Tap water costs only a tiny fraction of a cent per gallon. Yet bottled water can cost over 5,000 times more. People pay a lot for bottled water, even when it is just filtered tap water. Why do we pay so much for something almost free? Many consumers think expensive bottled water tastes better or is purer. But scientific blind taste tests often show this is false. When people try waters without knowing the brand or price, they usually cannot tell the difference. Sometimes they even prefer tap water. But once they see the label, their minds change, and they taste the premium quality expected. This shows how powerful advertising can be. Buying bottled water is more than just clever ads. It also reflects a big change in our trust of public services, like city water. We will see how this trust slowly disappeared. This began when a common city feature slowly vanished. Before learning how companies built this big business, we must ask, why did we agree to pay for water? Water was once a free and basic right for everyone. The answer involves fear, neglect of public systems, and smart marketing campaigns. 2. A history of water. Long ago, public drinking fountains were common sights in cities and towns. They were not just practical. They were symbols of civic pride and showed that communities cared about public health. These fountains offered free, clean water to everyone, reflecting a commitment to shared resources and progress. However, as the 20th century ended, these symbols began to disappear. Public funding priorities changed, and investment in public infrastructure, like water systems, slowly declined. At the same time, people's trust in tap water began to break down. A series of serious contamination scares made invisible threats feel very real. One major event was the cryptosporidium outbreak in Milwaukee in 1993, which made hundreds of thousands of people ill. Perhaps even more damaging was the lead crisis in Washington, D.C., between 2001 and 2004. Here, a change in water treatment chemicals caused lead from old pipes to poison the drinking water. This led to health problems for thousands, including children, and deeply damaged public confidence. These and similar incidents across the country painted a worrying picture of public water safety. Companies saw this growing fear and stepped in quickly. They offered a simple, appealing solution: bottled water. Through clever advertising, they promised purity and safety in a sealed plastic bottle. This made it seem like private companies were solving a problem that the public sector had failed to manage. As government funding for public water systems continued to fall, buying bottled water became a normal, everyday choice. People moved away from relying on free public water, which was once a basic right, towards paying for water from corporations. This shift turned a public necessity into a huge opportunity for private profit. However, the companies that came to save us were not selling water from secret, untouched mountain springs, as their bottles often suggested. The real source of most of the world's best-selling bottled water is the industry's most surprising and most profitable secret: water from the tap. Many people believe bottled water comes from untouched natural places, like high mountains or deep springs. But there is a big secret. Over 60% of bottled water sold today is simply municipal tap water. Big companies like PepsiCo with its Aquafina brand and Coca-Cola with Dasani often use water from city water systems. They put this tap water through extra filters to clean it. Then they bottle it and sell it to you. This means you pay much more money for water that costs very little from your own tap. This practice led to a big problem for Coca-Cola in the United Kingdom in 2004. The company tried to launch Dasani there. They spent £7 million on a big advertising campaign. The ad said Dasani was pure, still water, perfect for modern life. But journalists quickly investigated. They found out that Dasani was made from ordinary tap water from Sidcup, a town in southeast London. People and the news fiercely mocked Coca-Cola for selling bottled tap water at such a high price. But the situation got much worse. During the water cleaning process at the Sidcup factory, an error happened. This error created a chemical called bromate. Bromate is a substance that can cause cancer. Tests showed that the levels of bromate in Dasani bottles were too high, much higher than British laws allowed. Coca-Cola had to recall 500,000 bottles. After this big scandal, the company completely stopped selling Dasani in the United Kingdom. It was a very public and embarrassing failure, showing the difference between clever marketing and the true industrial reality. This failure for Dasani showed the truth about bottled water. It revealed a big gap between what companies promise about purity and the actual industrial process they use. It also raised a very important question. If the biggest mass-market brands are just selling filtered tap water, what about the more expensive premium brands? The ones that claim their water comes from pristine spring water or secret mountain sources. Are they really telling us the truth? The story of an epic battle between a luxury water brand and a city's public water department will soon reveal a truth about purity that the bottled water industry never, ever wanted you to know. 4. The mountain on the bottle. Many bottled water companies sell spring water. Their labels often show beautiful pictures of clean mountains, deep forests, or calm, untouched nature. This marketing makes people think the water comes directly from a special, pure place, straight from nature's heart. However, the legal definition for spring water is surprisingly loose and easy to bend. In the United States, for example, the law says water can be called spring water even if it is taken from an underground source using powerful pumps and industrial wells. It does not have to flow naturally to the surface on its own. This means a company can pump water from a deep hole in the ground, far from any pretty mountain, and still call it natural spring water. Brands like Poland Spring, known for their natural main springs, have faced big lawsuits. These lawsuits claim that much of their water comes from ordinary wells and groundwater pits, not the pristine springs shown on their bottles. This shows the big difference between marketing stories and the real source of the water. One of the most famous conflicts that exposed this truth was the battle between Fiji Water and the city of Cleveland. Fiji Water is a very expensive imported brand. It built its whole image on being Earth's finest water, claiming to come from a pure volcanic aquifer. The company even ran an advertisement that publicly mocked tap water, saying, "The label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland." The Cleveland Water Department, feeling insulted, decided to test both Fiji water and their own municipal tap water. The results were very clear and surprising. Cleveland's everyday tap water contained 0 measurable arsenic. In contrast, the expensive Fiji water, when tested from several bottles, had 6.31 micrograms of arsenic per liter. Fiji water stated that this amount of arsenic was still below the legal limit set by health authorities. This was true. However, the test clearly showed that Cleveland's common tap water was actually purer and contained less of this harmful substance than the costly imported brand that had made fun of it. This whole event was a strong lesson. A high price and a fancy label do not guarantee purity or quality. The Fiji versus Cleveland case proved that price and true purity have no direct link in the bottled water world. Companies spend millions on images of pure nature to make consumers believe their product is worth more, even when science proves otherwise. But the industry's marketing myths did not stop at simply hiding the water's true source. The next big move was to invent entirely new kinds of super water with even more amazing health claims. Are these promised benefits real, or is this just more expensive pseudoscience in a bottle designed to make you pay even more? 5. Special water. Today, new kinds of bottled water fill store shelves. These special waters promise more than just basic hydration. They often claim to offer extra health benefits, like making you feel better or perform stronger. This chapter will look closely at these claims, checking if they are based on real science or simply clever marketing tricks. One very popular functional water is alkaline water. Companies tell us this water, which has a higher pH level, can help make our bodies less acidic. They say it can improve overall health and energy. However, basic facts about the human body show this is not possible. Your body works hard to keep its blood pH level very steady, usually between 7.35 and 7.45. If this balance changes too much, it can cause serious health problems. Your lungs and kidneys constantly control this. Also, when you drink, the strong acid in your stomach quickly makes all liquids acidic. So drinking alkaline water cannot make your body more alkaline in any important way. Important medical groups, such as the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic, have clearly stated that there is no scientific proof that alkaline water has any health benefits for the average person. Another popular choice is water with added electrolytes. Electrolytes are essential minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. They are important for nerve and muscle function and help your body keep the right amount of fluid. When people do very intense exercise or sweat a lot, they can lose many electrolytes. For these athletes, drinks with added electrolytes can be helpful for quick rehydration. But for most people who are not engaged in extreme physical activity, these extra minerals are not needed. A balanced diet already provides all the electrolytes your body needs, from foods like fruits, vegetables, and meats. So drinking electrolyte-enhanced water offers no real advantage over regular tap water and a normal healthy diet. This trend shows how companies medicalize everyday water. They add minor things or change the pH slightly, then present it as a health product to justify much higher prices. This strategy preys on our common wish for better health and well-being. But while these companies focus on selling unproven health benefits, they often ignore a very real and damaging problem caused by their business. Their model leads to massive and lasting harm to our environment, a consequence they prefer to keep out of sight. 6. The price for the planet. The bottled water we choose every day carries a big, hidden cost for our planet. Consider plastic bottles. In one recent year, people in the United States used over 86 billion single-use plastic bottles. This huge number has grown by almost 3,000% since the late 1990s. Most of these bottles, less than 30%, are not recycled. They end up in landfills, creating vast waste piles that last for hundreds of years. Many also reach our oceans and rivers, harming animals and polluting our natural world. Making and moving bottled water uses a lot of energy, mostly from fossil fuels. This energy use is bad for the environment. Producing bottled water takes 2,000 times more energy than providing tap water. Also, making the plastic for just one 1-liter bottle uses about 1.4 gallons of water. This process adds to our planet's carbon footprint. Each liter of bottled water contributes about 0.5 kilograms of carbon dioxide to the air, which warms the planet. Another serious problem is microplastics. These are tiny plastic pieces that break off from bottles. Scientists now find many of these microplastic particles inside bottled water itself. One study found an average of 240,000 microplastic particles in just 1 liter of bottled water. This means that when we drink bottled water, we might also be consuming tiny pieces of plastic, despite wanting pure water. This situation reveals a great irony. We buy bottled water seeking purity. Yet by doing so, we support an industry that causes massive pollution. This pollution affects our entire planet, from land to oceans, and might even be contaminating our own bodies through microplastics. Given all these issues, the deceptive water sources, the unproven health claims, and the severe harm to our environment, a crucial question arises. How is this problematic industry so poorly regulated? The answer will uncover a surprising truth about who truly ensures our drinking water is safe. 7. Who is in control? When we look at who controls our water, we see big differences between tap water and bottled water. This chapter helps us understand why. Tap water, the water that comes from your faucet, is watched over by the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. The EPA sets strong rules for water safety. It makes sure that local water companies test their water very often. In many places, these tests happen every day. The results of these tests are usually public. This means people can easily find out about their tap water's quality and safety. The EPA requires water utilities to report any problems to the public right away. Over 90% of public water systems in the United States meet these strict federal safety standards. This shows a big effort to keep our public water safe. But bottled water is different. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, treats bottled water like a packaged food. Because of this, the FDA's rules for bottled water are often not as strict as the EPA's rules for tap water. For example, your city's water company tests tap water for bacteria many times each month, but bottled water companies only need to test their water about once a week. Also, bottled water companies do not always have to tell the public their water test results. This means that a local public water company is often held to higher safety standards than a large bottled water company. Many studies have looked closely at bottled water. One study found that about 1 out of 3 bottled water brands had bacteria or chemicals that were above health limits in some tests. Another group, the Environmental Working Group, also found industrial chemicals like PFAS and bacteria in samples from popular bottled water brands. These findings are important because they show that bottled water is not always safer than tap water. In fact, bottled water is often less checked and controlled than the water that flows from your tap. This goes against what bottled water companies often tell us, which is that their water is very pure and safe. But the facts about testing and contaminants tell a different story. They turn the idea of bottled water being safer completely around. We have now seen many things: how bottled water is sold, the stories it uses, the science claims it makes, and how few rules it follows. All this information makes one big question clear. What is the final true answer about bottled water and why we pay so much for it? The 8th choice. We have reached the end of our journey, looking at bottled water. We saw how trust in city water became low. This happened because of some problems and clever marketing. Companies showed images of pure mountain springs, but often the water came from ordinary places, or even just tap water. We also learned about special waters, like alkaline water. These claim to be very healthy, but science does not fully agree. The final answer is simple. For most people who live in countries with safe public water, buying bottled water is not a wise choice. It costs a lot more money. We are not paying for water that is truly better or safer. We are mostly paying for a story. This story is carefully put into a plastic bottle. The true cost goes beyond just our wallets. It also hurts our earth. Every year, many billions of plastic bottles are made. Most of these bottles end up in landfills or in the ocean, creating pollution. Making and moving these bottles uses a lot of energy. This adds to problems for our planet. Also, by always choosing bottled water, we slowly stop believing in the importance of public resources, like good tap water for everyone. Our simple daily choices about water show us important things about our society today. Do we value quick convenience and fancy marketing more than common sense and caring for our shared planet and public services? What does our choice to buy bottled water say about the world we live in?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.